And we are
Hey,
live.
we are. Hello, hello. Hi, Nono. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Very, very good. Today
Hmm.
we're back again, and we're going to talk about the physical positions of this philosophy called yoga. It's going to be a very interesting subject. It's something that anyone that follows you knows that you're completely in love with this subject. It's something really interesting, and it's a tool that we can use for so many different things. And this is what
Yeah.
we are going to talk today, right?
Yes.
So, to start, I would like you to explain what are the asanas? What are those positions? And why do they go beyond the physical positions? Because it's really common that people think that doing yoga or even doing asana is just to be able to do really different or really amazing or this kind of contortionism, and it's nothing related to that.
Yeah.
And since you are so involved with this subject, I would like to have your point of view about that.
Yes. Yes. I do love the subject. It's something that I usually highlight on my classes as well. Uh, it is common sense that asana is the most visible technique of our classes. Okay, it's quite common that say, "Oh, I'm doing the rows," or even I'm doing swastika yoga or any kind of yoga. Your friend probably going to ask you, "In what do you do?" And probably you're going to show a position that you recently achieved. That's the most common thing that you do. Oh, I'm holding the plank for 1 minute, or I'm can do this or that, stand on my fingers or on my hands or whatever. Uh, and I think that it is so impactful for the practitioner in the initial journey. It is the most relevant part of the class until it's not.
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes we put our students into different kinds of challenges in terms of breath work or even a long relaxation, a long meditation. But then there's one transition in the class that was challenging between asanas, and that is the most. They leave the class and say, I didn't do today. Come on, you did everything. No, but that transition, I couldn't do it. And so I think the challenge in the class is more visible, more present, and more intense when it's related to asana than to the other techniques. Usually in the initial journey of the practitioner. And why is it? Why does it go beyond that? Because when we start to develop the skills of resilience, of combining breath work with the position, you start to unlock other skills that you use in the daily life. And it's not just being fit. It's about, oh, come on, if I can hold the plank position for 3 minutes, I can feel this form till the end with focus. I can do that. So it builds up self confidence and all these other subtle skills that are very, very useful in the daily life. So that's why it always goes beyond just holding in one specific position or strange position.
And I always like to tell that doing the physical positions, the physical part of our daily practice is really important because you cannot practice without your body, right? You cannot
Yeah.
like, okay, but practice, you need it. So it's important that you can be able to sit for a good number of minutes, if that you can sit on the floor or you can hold the position. Like, if you don't have the basics, the other parts are going to be hidden because you are not comfortable, and this uncomfort is going to call your attention. So you really need to be comfortable, to have some physical condition to be able to go deeper in your practice, in the other parts of your practice, right?
Yeah.
So for those who want to start or who don't know really well, like how to start or where to start this specific part of the physical techniques, what are the principles to practice them in a correct way, like correctly? What
Yeah.
should I pay attention to be sure or to increase the possibility to do it correctly?
Yes. One thing that I always like to have in mind when practicing the physical positions is to have an objective, a goal to achieve. And as you said, seated with your back straight, comfortable for several minutes should be your biggest goal. That way you can do breath work for lots of minutes, you can do your meditation, and nothing will interfere with your exercise, right? I'm focused on my breath, but I'm not paying attention to my lower back or to my knee or whatever. I'm really focused on my breath because the position is so solid, so stable, so comfortable that I can pay attention to the subtle part of the practice. Okay. So the first thing is to have that in mind. So I'm building up a structure to become extremely, extremely comfortable through years of practice, seated with the back straight. Okay. I think that's really important to start this way. Other fundamentals to fundamental principles for a good practice: equalization, to counterbalance everything that you do, because we always have a strong side. Okay, and the strong side doesn't mean left or right. It can be, I'm stronger but I'm not flexible. Strong, the strength is your strong side. uh, so always paying attention into, do your practice in a balanced way, equalizing, counter execute everything. So that means if you do a twist to one side, do it to the other side. If you do a forward flexion, you do a backward flexion, and so on. Okay, if you hold in one leg, do the same with the other leg. So this is a really good principle to start. So like if you're from zero, so you are in day zero, this concept is really, really, really important. Okay, counter execute everything, everything, and check mostly the movements of your spine to observe that and to apply that. Oh, I'm twisting or I'm doing a lateral flexion. Okay, let me equalize. Let me do the same thing to the other side. There are other things that we usually teach in class, but I think as a starting point, the goal of comfort and the equalization are just, you cannot give up from these two principles. Okay.
Nice, thank you. And we know that the this part of the practice, the asana part, is 1/8 of our practice, which is
Yeah.
like 12.5%. It's not a big part. It's just one really impactful part of our practice. And like you said, the most visible of all. This is why yoga is also well known for the physical techniques, but it's
Yeah.
just a little bit more than 10% of our practice, of our daily
Hmm.
practice. But even though it's so visible and it's so impactful that people just fall in love with it. Considering that, Nuno, could you explain a little bit more about the physical, emotional, and mental consequences of doing, practicing those techniques, the asanas?
Yeah. So the physical part is again the most visible one. That you increase your body awareness. Okay, that's the thing because um, as the opposite of going to the gym machine, that you isolate one specific muscle. In this kind of practice, is more about the whole body. Okay, when you do a lateral flexion, you cannot isolate one muscle. Okay, even the position of your hand can change how you activate more muscles or less muscles. Okay, that's incredible how the practice is so comprehensive in this way. So the good side effects of asana, you become stronger and you become more flexible, and the perception of your body expands. Okay, so if you usually hit your head or your toes on the furniture or so, maybe that is going to disappear through time because you understand more where your body ends, the limits, and that perception of the body is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Then, as a mental workout, I'm going to say, tell my perspective. Okay, I started to practice when I was in college, studying architecture. And so I was always very visual, and it was really hard for me to connect with the practice, to be fully present in the first exercise that usually is breath work. Okay, I was able to do it, but I know that I wasn't 100% until balancing in one leg. Because because again, it's a great challenge and it requires a lot of focus, and if you want to hold to stay in one leg doing one position, unbalanced position, you need to elevate your level of focus in such a way that the worries, the things that you have in mind, they vanish and you are there. Okay, so the mental workout that, for example, a balanced position brings to you is extraordinary. Okay, for me, it was really, really impactful. Uh, that specific group of techniques, and emotionally, it is a way to most of the times to double check your emotional state. Okay, sometimes we feel great and we can do amazing stuff. Sometimes we don't. And even the simple position is hard to do. And so when you execute asana many times, it's almost like an emotional assessment of how are you in that moment. And then you can use that in a good way. Okay. Uh, Many times we use the plank position as an easy technique to mention because it's so popular. But come on, if you can hold 10 minutes, you need to be emotionally stable. You need to be good in fit, your mind and your emotions to hold for 10 minutes. And it's way more than physical performance. It is a mental challenge, an emotional challenge to overcome the 10 minutes limit. So that's I think the a good roadmap of asana and the mental, physical, and emotional part of our class.
Nice, nice. I was just remembering when I used to give classes back in Brazil, and I used to have this class at 7 a.m. And the teacher that used to give class in that schedule couldn't do it anymore, and he told me that the students were always complaining that they were sleepy, and he didn't know how to overcome this kind of complaint that the students used to have.
Yeah.
So my strategy was exactly that. We would start the class with a 10 minutes plank. And it was a beginner's class. It was not an advanced class. So everyone that arrived, I would say, okay, 10 minutes. Then the person was like, no, I can't. Okay, do whatever you want and you will reach us in the 10 minutes. Let's do it together. So it was the first challenge for the newcomers. And
Hmm.
also, it was trick that I used to do, so I never heard anyone complaining that they were sleepy in my class.
Yeah.
It was a really good experience, and just agrees with what you just told me. And when
Yeah.
you were talking about the concentration, the focus, and the presence that you need to do during your asana practice, like we go to the gym and we are using our headphones. I'm listening to podcasts or checking my emails. Like, you would never be able to do that
Yeah.
during your asana practice. Like, you have to be completely focused on what you're doing. You have to be there checking your breathing, checking the position, checking the area of your body that's going to be more needed at the moment. It's such a good moment to train your mindfulness and your focus all the time, right?
Hmm.
And I always observed for my students and with myself actually. I like to give the balance positions in the beginning of the class. And if I see someone more unstable than the usual, I try to give a little bit more attention to that person today, because
Yeah.
probably this person is in need of attention. Something happened if the person is not in their common performance.
True.
So things that experience give to us teachers, like tools that we have to do a good follow up with our students. And the next question is
Mhm.
about the myths about the practice of asanas. And as you know, as everyone knows, Nuno is a really passionate person about asanas. But there is this myth, not, it's not your case, but we can see that people that are good in asanas are good yogis. And this is a big myth, because I already met amazing people and amazing yogis that asana is not the strength part of their practice, but they know the importance of the asanas for the practice. Like, you need to have a healthy back, you need to have a healthy knee to performance better in your daily practice.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do those really incredible strength position or flexibility positions to be a good yogi.
Hmm.
So I'd like you to explain that a little bit more, and after that, to know from you if you know another myth about the asanas execution.
Yeah. Um, I think that, for example, for us, the complete practice for us has 8 parts, and you always have your favorites, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Okay, and some love pranayama, some love amazing yoga nidras, relaxation, meditation, and so on. Okay, so there's always a group of practitioners that are asana lovers, and that's perfectly fine. As we have pranayama lovers, and we have from all the angas, and that's great. Um, but being good visually, it's almost nothing. Okay, because it can be great and be arrogant, and that in that moment you lose everything. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, you can be good and then you can be humble at the same time. So you can have amazing asana, amazing performance, stronger than ever, have infinite flexibility, but being humble. Okay, being a good human being. It is when you validate the practice itself. Okay, when you're good to yourself and good to others. And being arrogant is not good for yourself and not good for others. So that is the a really big myth. And I think all of us somehow in a class or in an event, we thought about it. We experienced about it. Okay. Like you're holding the plank or holding a handstand and you are the one that hold longer. In that moment, you think, oh, I was the best. When you
I'm
think about
good.
that, it is because you didn't search enough. There will always be someone better than you. Okay, so lower your own expectations. Even if you're good, there will be someone else even better than you. Okay, so I think for asana, your challenges should be with yourself and with a purpose, not just to be the best or the better or whatever. Okay, do it as a challenge. Do it as a way to learn about yourself, and that's it. Not about being the best among the others. Okay, and that is just doesn't fit in our philosophy. Okay, another myth, but that happens a lot with students, is the headstand, the inversions. Usually, we organize our classes in two main levels. Level one is the entrance level, when you have a selection of techniques suitable for beginners. That is kind of a way to, okay, um, let's have this approach towards these different techniques. We're going to have asana there, okay. But then when we invite them to level two, which is a even more comprehensive practice with more technology, if we can say it this way, most students say, "Oh, but I don't do the inversion. Maybe I can't." I'm inviting you to move to a level two. So accept my invitation. It is not about the inversion. It is about how familiar you are with the technique. If I can see that you feel good, that you feel integrated with the practice, it just flows as it should. When that happens, we can invite the students for a level two class. Okay. And it's not about the headstand, it's not about other positions, it's about feeling comfortable, feeling familiar with a level one class, and waiting for the invitation for a level two. That's another myth.
Nice, I like that. Okay, and continuing this line of thought. So, continuing this line of thought, uh, in order to have a powerful asana, it has to be difficult.
Not at all. No. It needs to, you need to be comfortable the whole time of permanence. So you need to assemble the position, and you need to be stable, comfortable. You need to check your breath, even check your inner attitude to make a powerful asana. Is when you combine things. It's not about the technique itself. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, it's not about how hard or how visually hard it is. It's how much can you put into the position, stacking or layering up your comfort, your aesthetics, your stability, the quality of your breath, your inner attitude towards the position. When everything is combined, and you can hold all this combination for a long period of time in a hold, then it's a powerful asana. Okay.
Of course. Thank you. And do you have an experience about the asanas that you executed in the classes in our last trip to India that you want to share?
Yes, yes. I think in two of the ashrams that we practiced, uh, the places were extremely cold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so they started the practice in terms of asana with positions or with movements or even with repetitions to warm up your body. Okay, so I think it is something that is very related to the place itself, to the conditions of your place of practice. Uh, and that is something that for us that we live in a warm place or with AC or with heating, we don't have that need the same way as they do.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were in the Aurobindo Ashram in New Delhi or in Rishikesh in the Shivananda Ashram, it was a really early in the morning class. You need to warm up somehow. You need to uh, kind of move first, then you do more complex things, or there was a need for that. Okay. Uh, what else? I think another big difference, but it's quite subtle. So if you visit India previously in the yoga context, they talk a lot about benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing a position, oh, this is for scoliosis, or this is for this and that and this, that. But the goal there is to increase health. So put in the context of use the technology of asana to leverage your health.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so they
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that. But if you're not aware of that, you might look at that as therapeutical and just
Mm.
focus on the benefits. Okay. And usually in our classes, we don't mention benefits at all. Okay.
Of course.
Because it's about the well being. I want the student to experience this boost of energy. And then they can talk, I feel better at the end of the practice. I don't know, it's good. So it was not biased by a benefit that I've mentioned. Oh, this is good for your spine. This is good for your kidneys. No, just do it. Experience, breathe together with the position, and they feel that boost. And that boost of energy or vitality is a way to feel better at the end of the practice. So having this sense of well-being in the practice and after the practice is just amazing. So that is a big difference when comparing our way of teaching and our way of practicing with the experience that we had in India.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. And our last question today: how can the choice of the food that you are eating can influence your asana practice and the general results of a swastika yoga practice? Or what kind of food do you suggest we to eat and why? And which of those you suggest us not to eat and why?
Yeah. Taking in consideration also the same travel to India, it is non-questionable the good ashrams they serve vegetarian food. But there's no explanation. They just put that in your plate, and that's what you should eat. Yeah, okay. So having that in consideration, I think the first suggestion is to increase the number of vegetarian meals during the week and see how that does that relate with your experience in the practice. Okay, for example, oh, I'm imagine that you're not a vegetarian, but you're experiencing. So have your regular food and have a practice. Then have a vegetarian food and then have a practice and see if you notice any kind of difference. When we suggest this to our students, the sense of lightness in the practice usually is better. Oh, it's not that I'm more flexible or stronger. That's not it. There's something uh, that flows, that goes along better with how I feel and my practice. Okay, this is a really common feedback from our students. And then, of course, there are a few um, ingredients that can help, others can hold you back to evolve. Like if you want to improve your flexibility, maybe reduce the amount of dairy
Dairy.
products, yeah, even salt that can change, and that you can actually have a better flexibility with that and give it a try, or do a fruit day for on a Tuesday. Go practice and see how does that impact on your asana practice and so on. I think it's more about experimenting, but whole foods, mostly vegetarian, there's a big chance that your practice will be way better.
Will flow better, right?
Yes, yes. And other things like don't eat too much before the practice. Try to go on. It doesn't need to be on an empty stomach, but kind of the digestion is on the way at least. Not having a full meal and then go to the practice. That is hard to manage. Okay, so give an interval between the last meal and your practice. Go light in the decision of your ingredients in a way that more of fresh food, healthy food, less industrialized food. Usually that helps as well. Okay.
Nice. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. And see you next week.
Woohoo! See you next week then. Thank you so much for your time, your questions. It is a lovely subject. So, if for those who are watching this later, if you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be pleased to answer all of them. All right.
Yes.
See
Bye
you next week.
bye.
Kisses.